There are so many videos online right now teaching men how to attract a woman, how to seduce them, how to keep them begging for more, teaching you what to say, when to say it, and how to say it. And all of it's nonsense. You don't need any of that. When I was a single guy living in Los Angeles, I stumbled into a process where I could take a beautiful girl home on the first date every single time with 100% accuracy. And it never involved having to spend too much money or figuring out a way to impress her or use any sort of game techniques. I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it, why it worked, and I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't do it. Because it ultimately had nothing to do with how I attracted my now wife, the person I'm spending the rest of my life with, which I feel like should be the goal with any sort of dating. But first, the process. I stumbled into this, like I said, but I arrived there by doing everything wrong first. What I mean is, I wanted to prove that chivalry wasn't dead. I think that was my goal in my mid 20s. I arrived in Los Angeles at 25, coming out of a very serious relationship with the girl I was in love with in college, and my heart was broken. I was devastated, and I held on for too long, you could say. And so when I got to LA, I was wanting to fill that void by finding a new girlfriend. So I had a good track record for getting a first date. That wasn't a problem. It was in securing the second date that I fumbled because I was too chivalrous. Now, it's important to note that I don't think chivalry is dead at all. Romance is not dead. It just doesn't exist so much in the beginning of a relationship. You can't come on too strong, and that's where I went wrong. So in my dating time in LA, those first few years I was there, I was all about being Prince Charming. I would reserve a really nice restaurant. I would pay for everything. I would open doors for her. And even sometimes I would leave a rose on the dashboard when she got in the car, which is super cringy looking back on. And I came on too strong. I think I reeked of desperation. She knew that I was hoping she would be the one. And deep down, she's wanting that too or hoping that too, but you can't play your hand too strong in the beginning. So I would do that and I wouldn't embarrass myself. The dates would go well. I mean, I don't think, yeah, I don't, it wasn't that I was pathetic. It was just that it was too intense, too fast. But I did it anyway, and I didn't learn from my mistakes, and I did it over and over again. And after a while, I got burnt out. I got jaded from trying the same thing over and over, trying to prove that, by being a good, upstanding man, I would get the girl. Didn't work. So after a few years, I lost the urgency. And this is where I stumbled in the very first, most important aspect of the process that ended up working really well. It was shifting from need to want. And this is so important. I needed a girlfriend when I got to LA. I needed the girl to be the one. So I was doing everything I could to project that onto the date, onto the girl, a girl who I didn't know at all. And when I let that go, when I lowered the stakes from need to want, everything started to shift. So I signed up for some dating apps. Now, I've been married for 5 years now. My wife and I have been together for 8 years. And even a couple of years before that, I wasn't using dating apps, but I was around before Tinder, so I have no idea what Tinder is like. And I don't know how that has changed the dating scene or the dating game in general. But I used OkCupid and Match.com. And I would meet girls on there and we would chat a little bit. Again, nothing too aggressive. I didn't want to reek of desperation. I didn't want to reek of need. I wanted everything to be super casual. And I would get the first date with a girl. And, well, I'll talk specifically. The very first time I did this, we chatted a little bit. I by lowering the stakes, by not needing it, I decided to make the date something super low pressure. We met at a bar that was walking distance from my apartment, so I could just walk home after. And I coached myself beforehand. I thought, if this doesn't go well, no big deal. There's plenty of other girls on these apps. There's plenty of girls all around Los Angeles. I'll be fine. If it doesn't go well, at the very least, I'll have a funny story to tell my friends. So I just really got myself in the mindset of not caring how it went, while also being genuinely interested in the girl who I was meeting. And really letting that little seed in the back of my mind, which was hoping that she would be the one, let that be quiet and just say, shh, not right now. So she said yes. She met me at the bar. I bought her a drink, and I didn't try to impress her. All I did was be funny. I treated it like I was hanging out with my friends, being loose, being fun, showing interest in her, but not like aggressive interest, not needing to brag about anything I have going on or anything about me, but really just putting the focus on her and how to keep it light. I focused on making her laugh, keeping it humorous, keeping the whole atmosphere light. And once she was laughing, it's a good sign. And then, this is another thing. It's something I recommend if you're really, if you're going to do this, which I don't recommend, but if you're on a date in general with a girl and there's alcohol involved, always order the same drink as the girl. Because alcohol and beer, like guys tend to want to get beer. Girls like cocktails. If she gets a cocktail, get a cocktail. If she gets wine, get wine. If she gets a beer, get beer. Match the alcohol content. There's just something about if you're drinking beer, if you're drinking alcohol, it just doesn't, you're not in the same vibration. All right. Once she finishes the drink and she's laughing, ask her if she wants another drink. If she says yes, you've already won. She gets the second drink, you get a second drink, you keep her laughing, everything gets looser, all the guards are down, you're just having fun, you're just experiencing this person with no stake in the outcome, and you're good to go. Now, on this very first date, the first time I did this, which was not a plan, which was not a process at this point, it was just a casual encounter, there was a certain moment where, the conversation slowed down for a second, and we made eye contact, and I could tell she was into me. So, because I didn't have any stake in the outcome, I stood up and gave her a kiss right there in the bar. She embraced it. We kissed a little bit, and then I said, "Do you want to get out of here?" And she said, "Yes." So we went outside in front of the bar. We kissed a little more, and I said, "I live a few blocks this way." And she said, "Great." I took her home, and then we had some fun. Now, this is kind of where this is what I want to emphasize. I unlocked a cheat code in that moment. I demystified the experience. There is so much emphasis in our culture on sex, and there's pressure on us guys to, be Casanovas and to get laid and to have notches on our belt. I certainly had that sort of pressure. I don't know where it came from exactly, but I definitely felt it. I felt like I had to have a lot of women on my resume in order to be ready to settle down. Like I had to sow my oats. I had to know that I had had sex with a lot of women, like as a badge of honor. And the next morning, after that night had come and gone, I didn't feel the sense of accomplishment that I thought I would. I didn't feel like I'd won anything. A little part of me wanted to be excited. I guess I was a little excited, like the teenage boy inside me, the awkward high school kid who, didn't have a girlfriend, who had braces and was very shy, was like, yeah. But that's the best outcome. I was just as lonely the next day as I was the morning before. And in those moments, you can't celebrate. Who are you going to celebrate with? Other guys don't really care. If you tell certain men, they're just going to get jealous. So you don't even have bragging rights. All you have is the personal, I guess, satisfaction knowing that you were able to do that. But I was just as empty as I was before. I was back to square one. I'd had some fun, but it wasn't as fulfilling as I had hyped it up to be. So I didn't do it right away. I don't know. Some guys can do that. Maybe I'm just the sensitive type. So I didn't go right back into the same process. In fact, having accomplished that, it sort of tempered the need for it. And I had my own thing going on. I had other pursuits I was focused on and enjoying. But then, the loneliness bug creeps back in. And maybe a few weeks later, I got that itch. And I thought, well, that worked last time. Let me go back on OkCupid or Match.com or whichever one I was using. And I started chatting with a couple other girls. One of them, it was feeling like it was building towards something. So I tried the same exact approach. I asked if she wanted to meet me at the same exact bar I'd met the previous girl at, and she said yes. The same thing happened. I went there, no stakes, no need, just ready for the experience, no matter what it would be. And again, bought her a drink, focused on being cool, being fun, being myself, not worrying, and making her laugh. And I did. She was laughing. She was having a good time. We were having fun. I asked if she wanted a second drink. She said yes. I got my second drink. And then I knew. I was like, this is going to end well. And sure enough, and what I said before about kissing the girl right there in the bar, that's up to you if you want to try that. Again, now it's something I'm recommending this. I'm not necessarily recommending this. In fact, I'm not recommending it. But that aspect is more of a you decide in the moment kind of thing. In fact, sometimes when I would do this, the girl would initiate it. The girl would ask me if we go back to my place. It wasn't always me who was initiating everything. The only essentials were not needing, buying a drink, making her laugh, and buying a second drink. That's it. The rest is improvised. So I did it again. It worked again. Took her home, had some fun, and then woke up the next day feeling like, huh. And I did it a few more times as well. And it wasn't always on dating apps. So I know that a lot of advice from guys like how to go up to a girl and talk to her without, a cold outreach. And I did that as well. I don't know. I became more confident in myself and less concerned with the outcome. And I was able to secure myself dates, talking to girls in real life, not just on dating apps, but I implemented the same steps after that, and they always worked every single time. And again, I never did this like night after night after night. It would be a few weeks or even a few months, but it always worked. And once you've cracked that code, once you have climbed that mountain, you really realize it's not all it's cracked up to be. And that's where I was at. I even had a friend when I was in my early 20s who told me, you should have sex with as many women as possible because you can. Think about all the guys out there who can't. You should do it for them. And in my early 20s brain, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And it's really doesn't make any sense. But the thing I think a lot of guys kid themselves on is thinking that they just want sex. And girls do this too. And I just don't think that's real. I think we have to talk ourselves into that. I believe that the seed behind all lust and all sexual desire is still love. You still want a partner. You want connection. You want a companion. You want someone to spend your life with. You want your soulmate. That's behind all of it. And we take that for granted. So I did this for a while. And sidebar here, another thing that people don't often mention is how in the moment of having sex with a stranger, it doesn't often get talked about, like how, I don't want to say awkward, but you're both sort of playing the role of the person who's really enjoying it because you don't know them. They are a stranger. You are doing your best to make it seem like this is second nature. It's all pleasurable. It's all good. But there's always that part of you who's like, who is this person? What am I doing? What's happening? And there's like a childlike part of you that's like laughing to like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. But it's not until you find someone you love that you really get lost in the art of making love. Not to sound corny, but when you're really into the person, when you're falling in love and when you're in love, the sexual experience is amplified by 1,000. And you just can't get that in a one-night stand. So I did this for a while, off and on, for a couple of years. And I'm telling you, I'm telling you the truth when I say this worked with 100% accuracy. And I've never actually shared it until now. But after witnessing and watching so many guys online giving advice on how to attract and seduce, I feel like I had to finally chime in. Because take a look at a lot of these guys. How many of them are in loving relationships? They're teaching you the game, but is it working for them? Have they found love? Do they have girlfriends? Are they married? Do they have families? I've been there. I've been that guy who made it an intention at one point in my life to have as many notches on my belt as possible. And I'm telling you, you can do it, but it will not fill the vacancy in your heart. After a couple of years of doing this, I stopped pursuing it. Even in the moments when I got lonely, I stopped pursuing it because it wasn't fulfilling. It didn't make me happy. If anything, it actually made me more depressed about love and relationships. Knowing that I could just, punch in a code and get my rocks off, it just takes all the thrill out of it, all the excitement. And what I really wanted was love. So luckily, it ran its course because by the time I met my wife, I was so over it. And luckily, by the time I met her, I was also over that previous chapter where I was too chivalrous and too romantic. And I even had a moment right before I met her where I released not only the need for sex, but the need for love altogether. I let it go. I accepted that maybe I'm not going to have true love in my life, and that's okay. Doesn't mean I can't still live an awesome life, experience women, and be happy. But I let it go. I like energetically detached from it as a need. And almost right on cue, she appeared in my life. And my approach with her was completely different than I'd ever taken. And it was so low stakes. And without any intention of trying to get her in bed or anything like that, it was so simple. And I will share that with you another time. That's a topic for another video. But I actually have a framework to help you find the right girl and keep her. And it starts with the first conversation and the first correspondence and the first date. So that's it. If you choose to try this out for yourself, go ahead. Just take it from me. It's not going to make you happy. I have a mailing list where I talk about things like this. I'm a men's coach, and I help guys with relationships, business building, and so many other things. If you're interested in knowing more about my journey and hearing my perspective on things, sign up for my mailing list. It's in the description below. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you next time.